Tropes. If you're a fan of fiction, you're aware of this term. The dictionary refers to it as a, quote, common or overused theme or device, end quote. You see this across all different forms of media. Horror movies, you got cheap jump scares. Live service games, battle passes. Comic book superheroes, dead parents. And so on and so forth. But if there's one genre of media that is synonymous with tropes, it's the medium of anime and manga. Everything from the edgy rival to the beach episode to the fights that last several episodes. Anime has gained a reputation for housing many reoccurring tropes. Even their own dedicated subgenres have their own catalog of tropes, especially within shonen. It's because of these reoccurring tropes that whenever a new show comes out that goes against or subverts those established tropes, those tend to skyrocket in popularity pretty much immediately, because people are usually excited to see a new approach to the genre, or an old one twisted on its head. Throughout all the established tropes though, there is one that is used above all. The one that has been around for decades at this point, the classic shonen protagonist. You all know what I'm talking about. The young boy who grew up in a world bigger than himself, but still has dreams of achieving something amazing. Whether it's a title, a status, or just having a goal that they want to achieve. Their determination is always unwavering, their morals are unshakable, and every time they hit a wall, instead of giving up, they charge straight through it and overcome whatever's in their way. It could be a common assassin, or the physical manifestation of evil itself. It doesn't matter. They'll stick by their morals, surpass whatever's in front of them, and reach their desired goal. In nearly every story that follows a protagonist like this, the tale normally ends with them achieving the goal that they've set out to achieve in the beginning. At least the ones that have endings at this point. They've triumphed over the most impossible of impossible odds, showcasing to those around them as well as the people watching that you should never give up on your dreams, to keep pushing despite the hardship, and someday you'll be able to achieve greatness too. But what happens when, instead of breaking down the walls in front of you, you run straight into it? What happens when, instead of reaching the peak of the mountain, you slip and fall? What happens when you fall and don't get back up? What happens when, instead of achieving the dream you work so hard for, you fail and decide to give up on it? Well, you get Kafka Hibino.
How did I wind up on this side of everything? Damn.
Kaiju No. 8 is a series that I think flew under most people's radars when its anime debuted last year. Partially, I think because it was sandwiched between much more highly praised and popular animes like Frieren and Solo Leveling. Because of that, its first real public spotlight was short-lived. Well, besides that one Fortnite collab. But now that the manga has officially wrapped, and the second season of the anime is in full swing, I wanted to make a little something to talk about it, since I genuinely think this series does not get the credit that it deserves. Because some of the narrative and character decisions made, I think, are genius. But today, we'll just be focusing on the main character himself. Kafka Hibino is a character that symbolizes both the harsh truths of reality when it comes to pursuing a dream, but also keeping that classic shonen vibe of never giving up when you want to achieve a goal. It takes those optimistic ideals of never giving in and applies it to a whole new audience, which I think makes it even more inspirational than similar stories that have come before it. And today, I want to highlight all of that here, talking about Kafka Hibino, the Kaiju No. 8, and the genius of his writing.
Yeah! Quit thinking about it, Kafka! Cleaning up the aftermath is important work! I'm contributing to society! I got a nice apartment to live in. I can eat whatever I want. Can't that be good enough?
We're introduced to Kafka while he's working on the job as cleanup duty for kaiju battles. He lives in a nice apartment and has a well-paying job. He's able to eat all of the food he wants and is able to afford the small luxuries of life. He's not exactly the best when it comes to cleaning up after himself, but all things considered, it's not the worst life in the world. But, despite his comfy lifestyle, he feels extremely unfulfilled. His childhood friend, Mina Ashiro, has become a high-ranking officer in the Kaiju Defense Force, being the only one between the two of them to do good on the promise that they made to each other when they were kids. But here he is, living alone in an apartment with no Defense Force ranking to show for it. While we don't see the entire story between then and now, we see bits and pieces of their history leading up to when the series starts. We see them both studying for the entrance exams, them talking about what kind of officers they want to be, and we even get to see when Mina got accepted and Kafka had gotten rejected. He considers himself a failure, a loser of a 32-year-old that failed to achieve his dream. A harsh reality check to remind us that sometimes things don't always work out the way we envisioned as kids. We change, the world changes, and sometimes we just hit our limit.
Maybe you can't relate, but you'll get it when you're older.
No, I won't. I never give up, sir. I'll die before I get it.
This self-deprecation only increases when Kafka meets Reno Ichikawa, a bright-eyed, determined young man who wants to join the defense force, just like Kafka did as a child. Reno is curious as to why Kafka gave up on joining, and Kafka tries to deflect the question by just saying that he hit his limit and stopped trying, to which Reno says that he could never understand that mindset. Here, Reno is showcasing what you could call a more stoic version of a standard shonen protagonist's mindset. He's determined to achieve his personal goal of becoming a defense force officer no matter what, and doesn't understand why someone else would give up on a dream they were passionate about. This echoes the mindset of many other shonen protagonists that came before, and it only shines more of a light on Kafka's quitter mindset. But the interesting thing about Kafka is that it wasn't his mindset or attitude that led him to not passing. His officials at the Kaiju Cleanup Force talk about how determined he is and how committed he is to his work. One of the higher-ups even say out loud he would have been a great defense force officer if he had just found his footing. It seemed that the biggest thing that held Kafka back was his physical capabilities. He'd kept pushing and pushing until one day he hit a wall and had run out of time. He'd surpassed the maximum age requirement in order to enter and was no longer able to apply for the defense force. His dream was as good as dead. He's a failure. And sometimes that's just the way of the world. Sometimes life doesn't work out the way we want, and we just have to move on. But sometimes, life gives us a second chance.
Hold on, sir!
Whether it be fate or an act of God, everything aligned for Kafka to get one last chance to join the defense force. The age cap is bumped up to 33, and by sheer circumstance, he's transformed into the monstrously powerful Kaiju No. 8. While anyone else would be terrified by this sudden transformation, Kafka sees it as an opportunity to finally achieve his childhood dream. He goes to the exams, tries his hardest, and he makes it. Not immediately, he's only a cadet immediately after the exams, but after his first official day in the field, after using his skills unique to him, not just his incredible power as No. 8, he's promoted to an official officer, and the reaction honestly speaks for itself. Kafka is a reminder to everyone that you're never too old to start chasing your dreams. Shonen anime has conditioned us to think that dreamers and those bold enough to chase them are the youth, the pure-hearted optimists who chase their goals despite what the harsh realities of real life tell them. As you grow older, though, it becomes harder to chase what you really want to do because of the crippling demands of real life. Money, jobs, bills, and sometimes we have to give up on our dreams or just put them aside to ensure a more secure future for ourselves and for the people around us. And sooner or later, our dreams are just tossed aside, never to be pursued or thought about again. Dreaming is just for children, after all. Kafka takes those simple-minded, worldly views and smashes them to pieces. He's a living example of someone never truly giving up. Sometimes, in order to ensure a future, we do have to, for a period, put our dreams on the back burner to keep yourself afloat, but you should never truly abandon it. And despite what he initially thought, he never did. In reality, he was just biding his time until fate came knocking at his door, and he answered. He trained, pushed his body to his limits, both in and outside of No. 8. And despite all of the turmoil, the clashes with No. 9, his internal struggles of him being man or monster, as well as his flaw of putting the world on his shoulders for the sake of his friends, he never, ever gave up, until one day, he was finally able to achieve his dream of fighting side by side with his childhood friend in the face of an overwhelming threat. Characters like Luffy and Naruto and other young shonen protagonists are undoubtedly inspiring in their own way, encouraging children to never give up on their dreams. Kafka Hibino, in my opinion, offers up a much more real, yet much more encouraging message to those who grew up watching shows like One Piece and Naruto and are now approaching the age of Kafka himself. Dreams aren't just for the young, they're for anyone of any age, and it doesn't matter what you think your limits are, you are never too old to start pursuing something you're passionate about, to go against the expectations of the world. You just need the determination to keep pushing forward. Thank you for watching. There is so much more to Kafka's character that I wanted to talk about. The layer of his character I talked about today is just the tip of the iceberg with what makes him so captivating as a main character. The arc he goes on later in the story involving his own use as number 8 and him learning not to fight on his own all the time is another aspect of his story that I adore. And I'll probably dedicate another video to that part at a later date. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.